Okay, maybe we're live again. Sometimes it works with my phone, sometimes it works on my laptop. Now it says I'm live.
You are live.
I am live. Look at that. All right. I think we got it to the best of our abilities. The madness and wonder of technology. Isn't this cool? I'm live streaming, and isn't it insane that all of the things I did last week did not work this week? So fantastic. Have that do it every way at the same time, and then it doesn't work. So now it's saying. So what would you all like to talk about, the four of you that are watching, that have decided to stay with this? It's not the internet, Lucas. It's some dumb thing between my laptop and YouTube and my cell phone and those sons of bitches at Google. You know those people that demonetize videos that talk about war that benefits corporations? That's what's happening. My Wi-Fi is great. I got a great, nice, fun Wi-Fi signal. You have Spectrum and it sucks camel dick. I wouldn't doubt that. I've had Spectrum back when they were Time Warner, and at least once or twice a month I would have to go through and reboot my entire system. So that's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying a delicious vegan smoothie. Oh. So what has happened since in the last week? Trump has pulled out of the Paris climate agreement, which I guess the silver lining through that horrific cloud is that all these other countries are just going, no. It's so funny. Trump is forcing the rest of the world to just go, nope, sorry, America, you're not a world leader anymore. Anyone that was on the fence about that is just going, we're done, and we just don't want to do this anymore. So it's that, I guess, is interesting to see, but it's, it's horrifying, but also he's just, as I've said, and it's been very obvious, he's being exactly who he said he was going to be, just a climate change denying corporate jackass that is every ugly version of America. So that's all that's our whole version of Trump. Lucas, you honestly think the U.S. was never really a world leader, more like a dictator? Yeah, we were kind of a world leader for a while, briefly, and then we have been slowly since, from the Korea War on, we have been like a dictator. And that's just been a complete disappointment, Have I ever read War is a Racket by Smedley Butler? No, but Jimmy Dore recommended that book to me, and it's one of the next books I want to read. And I was on Jimmy Dore's radio show 3-4 years ago, before he started doing his YouTube stuff, and he read quotes from that Smedley Butler, and wow, it's very accurate, and it also goes in line and I can't remember specifically, but I think Hedges references it in Death of the Liberal Class when he talks about how America did not want to get into World War I, and there was literally Americans were saying it's Wall Street's war. That's what they were calling World War I. And then they created this propaganda campaign that George Creel created to, and he used film industry, arts, magazines, radio. There was no TV back then, but and even plays and stuff like that to get Americans on board with, the evil Kaiser, and we had got to go fight him. So Hi, I'm from the UK. Should there be some donate button on my chat? There should be. There should be a super chat button, and if you hit the super chat button, then your chat gets put up there. So and then it'll be featured. So and then I'll see it. And so if you want to ask me a specific question, and you can donate for anything. Since you said that you're from the UK, it's nice to see that Corbyn is getting some traction, despite the giant smear campaign against him, which shows it doesn't matter what country you're in, progressives are a threat to the corporate state, and they will try to take you out as best they can. So it's like, hello, Graham Elwood at Graham Elwood at Twitter. Hi, I'm from the UK. Nope. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure this out. I've never done it through YouTube's thing. Please, hi, Kay. You don't see it? Lucas writes, hey, Graham, you're great on Jimmy Dore's show podcast. Have you ever thought about going on Tim Black's show? I don't know Tim Black. I'd love to be on his show. I don't know who that is. So if there, maybe email Tim Black and recommend him, or have him email me, or I would love to be on that show. I wish I could just keep the chat stay up here, but they just fade. Please save net neutrality. Yeah, I did an article about net neutrality and how we need to, how the telecommunications companies are trying to crush it, because that's like the internet. This is the last place where we can say and do whatever we want without the corporations, censoring us. And you see what, as I've talked about, Google is censoring independent media because they don't want us to talk about this, and so they demonetize videos about this. And someone has suggested that I put a lot of these videos on Daily Motion, which is a great idea. I just haven't had the time to do that yet. That's a whole nother, that's a fair amount of time to upload videos twice to two different places. So it's something we'd like to do, but can't seem. There's a lot of time. We need extra time. Afternoon from the morally bankrupt Paul Ryan's district. Hello, Celeste Holmes. From Wisconsin. Oh, I grew up in Madison. I love Wisconsin, but it's so disappointing to see Paul Ryan continually ruin that state. He's such a jackass. But thanks for watching the show. So there should be a super chat button. Anyway, so Lucas writes, the FCC has already stopped enforcing part of the net neutrality laws, and Spectrum blocks my YouTube half a dozen times a week trying to make me watch cable. Oh man, I wouldn't doubt that at all. It's so funny, like the corporate media here in the States is always critical of like China, it's state-run media and all this stuff, and ours is just corporate-run media. What's my thoughts on TYT's main channel going? God, this is so... what's your thoughts on TYT's main channel going balls deep on this Russia distraction? Yeah. My only real interaction with TYT is when Jimmy Dore has me on Aggressive Progressives, and so I watch some of their stuff over there, and I don't know, that's a bummer. I don't know why everyone's... Well, I do know why. If the Russia thing, if there was some kind of interference with Russia, obviously we need to understand that, and we need to talk about that. But I'm of the mindset, I did a video on this about that interview that Nina Turner did. I'm of the mindset most Americans, this is just, I don't know. I don't know why TYT is going so much on the Russia thing. I really don't. I don't know the inner workings of that company, so I don't know why they're trying to cover that, but it's one of the reasons why Stephen O and had Jimmy create Aggressive Progressive, so he could have a different point of view. And I'll give TYT credit in the sense there's no interference on the Aggressive Progressive. They don't come, no one tells us what we can and cannot say at least when I'm on it, and I haven't heard Jimmy say anything like that. So I don't know. I'll keep being on aggressive progressive whenever Jimmy asks me. So that's all I can do. Let's see. From Alakazum, did you see the Reseed interview with Hillary Clinton where she pretends she's still relevant? Hashtag terror. Oh yeah, I did a video on that. That's the interview where she blamed the DNC, which is unbelievable to me. I think even some of her supporters are going, "Come on," like she, blames the DNC. Like she blames the DNC, which was the Podesta emails and everything they did shows the DNC was just totally geared for her, and it's still not enough. She still complains. There's this psychosis with that person, and like I don't get it, man. I don't understand. I don't know. I guess it's just being wealthy and powerful, her and her husband, for so long and getting away with so much stuff that they just cannot accept. It's narcissism. It's almost a psychosis. Like they can't go, "I'm sorry, I screwed up." And then you see it Kathy Griffin's bullshit apology where she starts, "I'm sorry, I shouldn't have cut off Trump's head, but the boys maybe," she complains, and that's all, makes excuses. It's like it's endemic of the whole country. I don't. It's like the crazy Trump supporters they always excuse Trump's awful behavior. It's madness. Celeste Holmes, I too have Spectrum. They have begun buffering the fuck out of TYT live pod broadcasts, such as the main 2-hour show on aggressive. Jesus, that's so crazy. Yeah, if you live stream MSNBC, I doubt they'll buffer the shit out of that. That's terrifying. Don't forget, if you guys do the super chat, you can donate to the show and you get your chat pushed up here so I see it quicker. Lucas, I just don't get why they think Putin wants with Trump. The entire Russia government is just an oil company. Yeah. It's just, it's funny because the question that I keep asking is, since the Clintons have done business with Russia, high-level Democrats have, and Tillerson has, it just more and more seems like it is just a blatant distraction for everything that's going on. Like, it's a blatant distraction. Because it's almost like, there was an old story that in the 1960 election that Nixon couldn't accuse that, so JFK, Sam Giancana helped them stuff ballot boxes in Chicago and all this stuff. But the Nixon campaign was like, well, we stuffed ballot boxes in the South, so we couldn't accuse JFK of being a better cheater than we were. So it almost feels like both sides can't admit to all their corrupt bullshit. I mean, Hillary was like linking WikiLeaks to Russia, but an article I've referenced numerous times that was in the New York Times in 2015 is how the Clinton Foundation sold uranium to Russian businessmen. So it's really perplexing, man. It's really perplexing. Air Force Max, will you discuss why the Young Turks will not interview Jared Beck and Elizabeth Beck suing the Democratic National Committee? Will you discuss Seth Rich? I have no idea. Again, I am with TYT. I don't work for them. I'm not in. Jimmy Dore asked me to be on Aggressive Progressive, and I do that show, and it's cool. And Stephen O is very cool to me, and the staff over there is very cool. I have no idea why Young Turks are covering or not covering things. I have no idea. I wish more people would cover the DNC lawsuit because the corporate media clearly is not. And my question, so will I discuss Seth Rich? Yeah, so we talked about Seth Rich on Aggressive Progressives, and I've even talked about it a little bit. And so on Aggressive Progressives, which was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, Jimmy was just bringing up the holes in the botched robbery thing, because there's video footage of him getting shot in the back. A botched robbery to me is like somebody comes up, puts a gun in your face and says, "Give me your money." And then in the exchange of the money, the person fights or they resist, or the person with the gun is freaked out and they shoot him. And there's just no evidence of that. Also, if Julian Assange hints that Seth Rich was the one that gave up the information, that he was that did the Podesta emails, he was the one, the DNC insider, Well, there's motive. But, and I remember we were on the show and Malcolm Fleischer was sitting to my left and he says, wait a minute, you guys can't say that the DNC, ordered a hit. And I was like, neither Jimmy and I are both like, no, I'm not saying that. I'm not making a crazy assumption but I'm just saying there's a lot of holes here and I need to see more evidence. And it doesn't sound like a botched robbery to me. That was what that's what Jimmy said. And even Jimmy did more videos on his show about it. And then some people lumped, mainly Jimmy, as like he's a lunatic, just like Sean Hannity, who's trying to the Fox News types are trying to say, oh, this is part of the Clintons have people killed and there's all this evidence that the Clintons have been murdering people since the 80s or whatever. I'm not saying that at all. I am saying this. I wouldn't put it past someone at the DNC or powerful. I don't put past when you threaten really powerful people, they'll do anything. So I don't put somebody found if Seth Rich is the person that did the WikiLeaks dump, that did the Podesta emails, I wouldn't put it past people within the DNC to have him killed. I wouldn't. That's my opinion. And there's not enough evidence to say he was murdered, but there also, to me, isn't enough evidence to say it was a botched robbery. It was a botched robbery if there was known, because someone that's going out robbing people at gunpoint usually has a long criminal record, and the cops can kind of have some suspects. They would have some suspects. So I find that weird. But then the Washington Post slammed Jimmy Dore as, smears him as just a wingnut. He's a conspiracy theorist, and the independent media is, they threw Jimmy Dore into just he's part of those nuts on the internet claiming that Hillary kills people or whatever, which was such bullshit. And he's addressed that. And he addressed it at his live show. He's addressed it numerous times. That's so, that's kind of crazy. So a lot of things I haven't responded to. David Messina, graham crackers. Haha, that's funny. So, Snork Y2K, Putin hating Hillary is just an act to divert attention from Hillary arranging for nuclear transfer to Putin while receiving huge donations. Yeah, of course. That's all this Russia shit is some kind of distraction. It's all a bullshit distraction. I mean, the whole outrage about Kathy Griffin is a distraction. And I even tweeted this. So while Kathy Griffin in Russia, blah, blah, blah. There was a bombing in Kabul, Afghanistan, the war that we've been at the longest in the history of America. Flint water is still dirty. There was he's a terrorist in Portland. There was an act of terrorism. That white supremacist guy harasses two Muslim women, and then two men intervene and they're both killed. It was an act of terrorism that Army colonel, who was a black man, that was killed on, I believe, the University of Maryland campus by a white supremacist that's part of a Facebook group that's called the Alt-Reich, like the Third Reich. So that no one's, the Trump and the powers that be are not addressing that. And why aren't they calling those, I did a whole video on that. Why aren't they calling those things terrorism? It's just ridiculous to me. So all this shit is a distraction. Whatever the mainstream media is primarily covering, ask yourself why. What are they not showing? What are they not telling us? How come they're not covering all of the human rights abuses in Saudi Arabia? No, they're just showing Trump over there signing a $100 billion deal just like Obama did and putting his hand on a fucking orb. Wingbird. Danny Knapp. How are you, Danny? Thanks for supporting the show. If you look at what we do in Iraq and Syria and don't think our leaders are capable of unimaginable evil, you're not thinking critically. Oh, of course. Yeah, that's the thing. And that's part of like what I'm doing on this show and why I'm sure many of you have started to come over to, this show and other political, independent media shows, is because we've so much of us have turned a blind eye, and we just backed our team. Well, that side, and the Republicans do the same thing. I'm not a huge fan of the Republican Party, but they're better than the Democrats. And everyone is turning a blind eye to their team versus we should be more critical of the people that we vote for and support. So, yeah, this government, look what this government's done. Look at how many civilians we've killed under Trump, under Obama, under Bush. So, and then look how progressives are treated. Tulsi Gabbard said she wasn't going to accept political money, corporate money, super PAC money. She was chastised for that. Oh, she's a pro-Syria, Assad, she's a big fan of chemical weapons or whatever they were saying. And then she just, she's been coming out about a lot of things, legalizing marijuana, anything that threatens their stuff. And they go after her, and she's an Iraq vet, which is fascinating that they treat her that way. Celeste Holm, because the various parts of our system are as corrupt as the system as a whole, we will never know the truth about much of what happens to make the system corrupt. Yeah, the whole everything. And again, I reference this book a lot, but it's fantastic. In Death of the Liberal Class, he talks about the arts have been hijacked. The news has been hijacked. Religions. It was like, I'm not a huge supporter of the Catholic Church, but there were a lot of Catholic churches in like the 60s that were anti-war and they got hijacked. I mean, churches and religious organizations used to be a refuge for resistance. They used to like question, it was very clear, thou shalt not kill. They all question that. Now the churches have been hijacked. The Supreme Court's been hijacked. I mean, everything is. So how can we trust anything? That's an excellent, excellent point. Follow the money and you'll start to comprehend. Yeah, always follow the money. I say that, follow the money. And if you follow the money, it's usually somehow flows through oil. Oil somewhere intersects the money at some point. Snork Y2K, back in 93, fire in Waco diverted news from reporting that people in Milwaukee were dying like flies. 103 dead, 400,000 sick, and 95% of us poop. Basically, minus Milwaukee, do not know what happened. Yeah. That's a great point. They've just been look where they distract us, and they either distract us with something like Waco, or then there's even the dumber distractions of like Miley Cyrus or J-Lo or Tom Brady's jersey or something crazy like that. Mike Smith, are you going to be at Jimmy's show in Chicago? No, Mike, I will not. I wish I was. That sounds like a fun show. My niece is graduating from high school. Celeste Holmes, the first few Chomsky and Hedges vids I watched shocked me. I was shocked to hear such educated men say what I thought, suspected for decades. Yeah, that's the thing. And then you ask yourself, how come they're not on the mainstream media? Right? You ever notice that? How come Hedges has to go on RT and truthdig.com? Like, that's where you got to see. There's no one talking like them on the mainstream media. None of them. It's just so like, wow. And, but thank God that somebody made the documentary with Chomsky that's on Netflix. No one intelligent is allowed on mainstream media more than once. That's true, because if they call him out, like, so Bill Nye was on, I think CNN last month, and they had him on with a climate change denier. And of course, CNN is doing that thing. Well, they're both sides of the story. And Bill Nye goes, hey, you guys, shame on you for having this guy on here. This isn't legitimate dispute. You guys shouldn't even, normalize this guy. I wonder if we'll see Bill Nye again. Snork Y2K, with all the terrorist reports, pretty soon Paris Hilton is going to have to rob a bank with Lindsay Lohan. Yeah, that's funny. Bat mashups. What's up, Pat? Carlin got the lights turned out on him when he went on Fox. Yeah, that's what they do. Chris Hedges gave a graduation speech in 2003, and he started to get booed when he was talking about why we shouldn't be in Iraq. Air Force Max, will you share the works of Smedley Butler and Howard Zinn? Yeah, I need to read those first, and then I'll start talking about them more. I've been really on a Hedges kick right now, but as soon as I get done and read those books, I absolutely will. Sorry if Bat mashups. Yes, Pat, I'm glad you like my Japanese Batman shirt. Danny Knapp. Mike, I'll be in Chicago. We're meeting at the Hofbrauhaus, the street at noon. If you're interested, I'll be that guy with the hammer and sickle shirt. Good for you. Have fun at that show in Chicago. That club, Zanies, is a great club. I've played there before. Hopefully I'll be back there again. What else do you guys want to talk about? So Lucas, you're saying Monsanto bought Bill Nye and Neil Tyson. Oh, to say that there's no such thing as... I don't know much about that, but I'll research that. I like Bill Nye, but if they're buying him out, then that's bullshit. I will share your video since I am unable to donate. I will write your Twitter handle at Graham Elwood. Yeah, guys, if you can donate right now to Super Chat, that's awesome. Or if you go to the Patreon page, patreon.com/Graham Elwood. If money's tight, which I believe me, I completely understand. I've gone through bankruptcy and foreclosure courtesy of George Bush and Barack Obama. There's a lot of great ways to support the show, like liking, subscribing, and sharing the videos on your social media. Even if you're like, oh, I only got 100 people follow me. Doesn't matter. Share the videos and get people to like and subscribe. That's a cool way to support the show. And as I said at the beginning, I just started the Political Vigilante podcast, and it's going to take a couple weeks to get it on iTunes. When you start a brand new podcast, iTunes has to approve it and all this stuff. So I released the first episode for any of the $5 and up patrons. If you subscribe at the $5 level, you can listen to the first episode first. And once I get it, I'm going to do a weekly audio podcast. It's going to cover some different stuff that I'm doing in the video side and the YouTube side. So that's another thing you can support, is like and share that with people. So one of you just asked a question, what do I think of the whole Bill Maher thing? Well, Bill Maher is a privileged Hollywood jackass. And so usually he made this joke where he said he's a house N-word, right? And that is really... he doesn't... I know he thinks he was making some point and he thinks he was being real, but he can't say that. And his show, man, he's just been a neoliberal sellout for a while. And then he says shit like that, and it just shows you he's insulated. He's a rich person. He's had rich Hollywood privilege. He's had rich Hollywood white guy privilege, and he thinks just because he's against Trump that he can say that. He can use that word. And it's like, he's an idiot. I mean, he's the one who last month said, all those people who, were saying it wouldn't be much different if Hillary was president. Will you shut up now? Well, it shows you how misinformed he is. It wouldn't be that much different if Hillary was president. Oh, we wouldn't have a travel ban. We don't have a travel ban. It's been stopped twice by the courts. Well, we wouldn't have a wall. We don't have a wall. That money hasn't been approved by Congress. We would be bombing Syria because she's already said in an interview she supported Trump's bombing of Syria. We would have Goldman Sachs in the cabinet without a doubt. We wouldn't be defunding Planned Parenthood. That's very true. There wouldn't be threats against gay marriage. That's true. Would there be less hate crimes? Like, would there be less like white nationalist feeling empowered and I'm going to go out and fight the Muslims? Maybe. Or maybe had she won, they would be more violent. I don't know. That's not a reason to not want Hillary in there, because those people are just nuts and they're violent and they're dangerous and should be called terrorist organizations. But things wouldn't be that much different with her. We would have Goldman Sachs. She's pro-fracking. We would still have the pipeline. She would have weasel their way around that, and let that happen, we would be still spending 54% of our budget on the military. So, Danny Knapp, thanks for your donation, dude. You're a big supporter of this show, Danny, and I really, really appreciate it, man. You're helping make the show. We're trying to grow it, and because of people like you supporting the show, that's why I've been able to now start the podcast. So we're almost at, we're like $390 or something like that on Patreon. Yeah. Celeste Holmes, dear fellow white people, under no circumstances do you get to say or use the N-word ever. Exactly. Yeah. Bill Maher's a jackass. He's fucking corporate. I said this before, when he was on Politically Incorrect, he was fighting the system a little bit. And then I remember after the war in Iraq, he said the drone pilots are cowards, and he took a lot of shit for that. And then he lost his show, and then had a couple years, and then he came back on. HBO gave him a show, but it was like, get your mind right, Bill. Get your mind right. You can rage against the machine a little bit, but you can't go against the corporate state. Danny Knapp, it's going to be big. I know it. Got to be a PITA getting started on YouTube these days. You'll get there. Don't worry. Oh, thanks, man. I really appreciate that, Danny. And trying to do this show has been, it's been cool. It's a lot of work, and folks like you supporting the show are going to get us to the place where we're going to be able to have more, more clips and have the time to go through and show this is what this person said in this clip and that clip and really break it down versus what I'm doing now, which is sort of finding an article and giving my take on it. But we'll get there, dude. I appreciate it. I appreciate the support for sure, man. Lucas Pompey. No, they aren't criticized for lack of scrutiny. They're criticized for lying about GMOs. You want to know who Bill and his panel, Bill had on his panel of GMOs? Nah, send me some information, Lucas. I want to know more about this. The CEO of Monsanto, the CEO of the fucking most evil corp in the world, and Bill let that asshole get away with lying nonstop. It was propaganda. He promoted myth after myth. All right. Yeah, anyone can be bought. I want to know more about that. I want to do some more research on that. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Bat Mashup, you should watch the clip of the Monsanto exec refusing to drink Roundup. I would love that. Yeah. Lucas, send me a link after saying it's perfectly safe. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'd love to do that. I would love to just make a documentary about those people. Like, I'd love to go to Flint and have the people that are, the government that is now putting liens on people's houses because they don't want to pay their water bill for contaminated water, which is bullshit. That an unpaid water bill should have nothing to do with owning your home. That's the only time they can put a lien on your house is if you're not paying your property taxes or your mortgage. It's bullshit. I'd love to just here, drink this tap water from Flint. I'd love to get all these politicians to do it. Just here, I just got this out of it. Right, just drink it and see who can do that. I would love to then get them all to go to Standing Rock because, of course, the Dakota Access Pipeline has already been leaking now. It's leaked, from what I understand, twice, maybe more. So, A Fuentes 11, good to see you. Monsanto was bought by Bayer about a year ago, so now the food supply line is owned by a multinational company in Journey. Have fun with that. Oh, God. I know. And how ridiculous is it that organic food is more expensive? You have to go to Whole Foods or Trader Joe's and pay more money for organic food. It's like Mother Nature had a pretty good system in place. She kind of had it figured out. We didn't need to put all this other nonsense on there. I often wonder if some of the continual crazy behavior I've seen with people, you wonder, are we talking more about mental illness now, which is a good thing? And so we're more aware of it and we're recognizing it more? Is it that? Or is it there's more mental illness because our food supply is so contaminated? Maybe it's both. I mean, it'd be good if we're actually acknowledging it more. But I often wonder, like, this level of insanity, the violence, the crime, the guns and all. I really wonder, and I'd like to see more. I'd like to see more research on it. Like when they did the research about lead, so lead paint and lead gasoline, they tracked it. So they started using that in the 50s and 60s, and then there was this high violent crime rate in the 70s, and it was attributed because lead poisoning was making people crazy and more violent and stuff like that. So they got the lead out of the gasoline, the lead out of paint, they got lead out of everything, and then the crime rate went down. Mike Smith, good point, Graham. We are constantly... if you can email me, Graham at grahamelwood.com. Or you can subscribe to the Patreon level of $5 and you can send me articles and I'll talk about them. Celeste Home, big agriculture influence what the requirements are to meet FDA standards for labeling food product organic. Big likes regulations that make it harder for others to either enter the market as competition. Oh, yeah. And big agriculture has also tried to lessen the requirements to get the organic label so that they can weasel stuff in there. They have done, if you watch the documentary Fed Up, you see what the sugar industry has done. The sugar industry has acted a lot like the tobacco industry. So if you look on the back of a food label, I don't have one right here. Wait, do I have one right here? Yeah, I'll show you right here. The back of my unsweetened almond milk. So like on the right here, you see that it says, fat and then the percentage of the daily allowance. When you get to sugar, there's no percentage. The sugar lobby had that removed. That's in the movie Fed Up. The sugar, so because I mean this is almond milk, so there's like no grams of sugar, but on like everything else that they pump all the sugar into, this has no added sugar in it. But any of the other stuff that has added sugar, because they can have this percentage over here say like 140% of your daily allowance, and you're like, oh my God, that's way too much sugar. You start reading labels and you see how sugar's in everything. That's the sugar lobby. And in that documentary, they show how almond milk grows your man boobs. Oh, Fuentes 11. No, I think you're thinking about the soy milk thing that the American Dairy Council put out a survey saying soy milk is bad for you because it was cutting into their profit margin. These boobs are real, dude. Boobs. Bat boobs. So what I was going to say, but if you go, again, the documentary Fed Up or watch the documentary Forks Over Knives, those are great documentaries about the food industry and how to eat healthy and little things you can do. Like, again, then the food industry, the little factions of crazy people within the food industry, then the diet industry wants you to go on all these crazy diets, and you don't need to do that. You start your day with a glass of water before you have tea or coffee, juice or whatever. If you have this Forks Over Knives, they're talked about if just 50% of every meal you have is raw, like a salad or fresh fruit or raw almonds or something like that, that helps your body. You can lose weight and do so many things just by eating more natural foods. That's it. That's it. That's all they need to do. Lucas, probably the hormones they give cows have been proven to cause males to grow boobs. Yeah, that's why I don't drink milk. And also, man, milk is insane. If you think about it, what mammal drinks another mammal's milk into adulthood? It'd be like if you saw an adult primate nursing on a cow. You'd be like, oh my God, that's disgusting. That's horrifying. That's what we do if we drink a glass of milk. Ivan G. Shreve Jr., if you have man boobs, you no longer need to buy milk. Problem solved. All right, now you guys are just going off on insane things. Celestome sugar or sugar derivatives that came from processed corn. Oh, yeah. High fructose corn syrup. Skeeter, milk disgusts me personally. It's a liquid from a recently pregnant cow. No, thanks. Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Milk is for baby animals. Hello, exactly. Is anybody breastfeeding their child with another animal? That'd be weird. You can alleviate most symptoms of diabetes with diet. Oh yeah, if you watch these documentaries, man, over and over, all these people are curing all of these diseases just by eating more healthy. And if you've ever traveled abroad, like when I was in Japan, the first time I was in Japan, I was like, wow, I saw such a difference. First of all, portion size. They don't have these giant meals. And secondly, it's all rice and vegetables and green tea and so I don't drink coffee. I like green tea, right? So in America, if I'm traveling, I'm driving and I want to get green tea and I stop in just like a 7-Eleven or something to get gas and I'm on the road, it's so hard to just get green tea in a bottle. And then there's green tea and it's got all this sugar and Lipton sugar bullshit green tea. And then the diet version is like aspartame and all this other horrifying crap. Here's an idea. You know what diet green tea is? Green tea. You just have green tea. It's diet. And in Japan, you can get green tea in a can. It's just green tea in a can, and it tastes awesome if you like drinking green tea, which I do. I don't know what you guys are talking about here. Air Force Max, thank you for all those emojis. Adam Mercer, what about using milk in recipes? Yeah, if you want. I don't. I use almond milk. I substitute any milk for any recipe. I use almond milk. Lucas Pompey, wheat is the number one cause of belly fat. Number 2 is sugar. High fructose corn syrup is the worst of all the sugars. Yep. What else are you guys saying? Oh, yeah. Lucas Pompey, the Japanese have tea drinking down to a science. Oh, God. Loose leaf green tea. There's green tea stores in Japan, and it's like, they talk about it like wine. Like, oh, this was grown in this region of Japan, and it tastes like this, and this is, it's fantastic. Yeah, Celeste Holmes, substitute honey for any kind of sugar cooking. Wow, I didn't know we were going to go into cooking tips today, but this is fantastic. Danny Knapp, a dairy farmer admitted to me they take milk from diseased cows, not supposed to, but he said it's throwing money on the ground if you wait till they'll recover. The pasteurization will fix it. Isn't that horrifying? Bat Mashups are recommending agave as a good substitute for sweeteners. Well, this is great, guys. Anybody have any recipes they want to post we can talk about? Yeah, Skeeter, they pump these animals full of antibiotics. Yeah, it's horrifying. And it's such, again, it's all the same. I talk about this a lot on Political Vigilante. Everything's connected. The corporate mentality is the corporate mentality when it's dealing with food, when it's dealing with prisons, when it's dealing with the environment. It's all about squeeze out as much profit as possible, and they're only trying to get to like the next quarter. They're not thinking 10, 20 years down the road. They just got to have a good next quarterly report so their stock prices go up. They don't give a shit about any of it. And it's like you sit there and you spell it out to them and show them, like, I'd love to sit these CEOs down of whatever, Monsanto and any of this stuff. Like the Monsanto guy that wouldn't drink Roundup and go, this could hurt your own children. It could hurt your grandchildren. It could hurt your ability to continue to have a life and make money. And they don't want to see it. It's the same thing with the oil people and the environment and everything else. It's unreal. It's the same mentality. And the more you see that, the more you wake up to that, the more we have a clear solution, which is we just got to get away from it. We have to support it. We have to, as I say, vote with your dollars. Don't give them your money. I know it's hard because it's hard to not buy something that isn't a part of some giant corporation. And I understand the small independent owned, independent owned company. It costs more money sometimes to go to a farmer's market or to go shop at Whole Foods or whatever. It's brutal, but we got to do what we can in the smallest of ways. Snork Y2K, thank you for the donation. Please support sewage to fuel efforts. No one goes hungry when you use sewage for fuel. So that's a great thing. So I've seen, I haven't seen specifically sewage. I've seen oil for fuel. I've seen people taking grease. There's a billboard near where I live called like Fries to Fuel. And I've heard about this. You can take the old diesel engines from the 80s. You can convert them to vegetable oil. They can also run on biodiesel, which is part, petroleum fuel and stuff like that. But they can run solely on vegetable oil. So the diesel engine was created by Adolf Diesel, who was a German farmer that wanted farmers to be self-supporting. Imagine, and if I had some money, if I was a billionaire, I would start this thing of increasing those types of cars. You have to buy an old car from the 80s and have it converted, and it's doable. And then you can buy vegetable oil shipped to your house, because used cooking oil, you have to filter it, and it's a pretty messy process from what I understand. I've never personally done it, but wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Snork Y2K. We started to have more of these cars, and then any restaurant that uses a deep fryer, that uses grease, they have to pay to have that grease removed. What if there was an organization and we went in there and went to these and said, look, we'll clean your dirty grease and put it into a pump and just have a donation tin. So all the hippies driving the cooking oil cars, right? Could imagine you have a car, a diesel engine that runs on vegetable oil, and you're running low, and you pull up behind a restaurant that has that deep fries its food, some of its food, and there's a pump back there, and so they dump their dirty cooking oil in there. It gets filtered, and then you just pump it into your car. So now the restaurant isn't spending money on cooking grease removal, which I understand. From what I understand, it's expensive. I don't know. I've never owned a restaurant. And the person is basically getting free fuel, but you just have a donation box. I bet you most people would throw 10, 20 bucks in there every time they filled their car up. Closing the loop on it. Wouldn't that be fantastic? Thanks for suggesting that, that I talk about that. That's really cool. Celeste Holmes, would you like to talk about Fukushima and what is happening to all life in the Pacific? 300 to 400 tons of highly radiated wastewater pumping into the Pacific, and every day since March 11th, 2011. Oh yeah, there's stuff from Fukushima that has made it to the west coast of America. It's just like anyone that supports nuclear energy is beyond me. It's beyond me. I did a whole video on this. Like, if a wind turbine breaks or a solar panel malfunctions or falls off the roof, unless you're directly below it, it doesn't screw everything up. Fukushima, they're going to be cleaning. That's going to affect us and the entire, especially the west coast of the United States, and any island in the Pacific is going to be affected by this for decades. Are we done? Are we done with this? There's already clean alternatives. They're there. Like a friend of mine, again, a very smart guy's like, well, if solar and wind were so great, how come everyone's not using them? Because they're blocked by the energy companies, by the oil companies, by coal companies. They're blocked over and time again. And it's a scary thing. So again, I talk about why we got to just dig in our feet in the sand and in the ground, draw a line in the ground. We want progressives. We want real progressive policy. We're not making concessions on certain issues. Like we'll do some atomic energy. We'll use some coal as long as we get some wind turbines. Fuck that. The survival of the human race is at stake here. And we got to fight for it as progressives. And typically progressives, we don't fight hard. We're like, well, let's all get along and I don't like them, but meh. No, we got to be like, I'm not saying violence. I'm not saying bloody revolution. I'm not saying that. I'm saying just no. Peaceful resistance. Nope, we're not doing that. I'm not voting for this person. I will vote for a third party candidate. I'll write in my own name before I vote for that person. Just because they keep playing ball with the evil corporations and taking big money from whomever. That's what we have to do. Carriola. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. It's just the font is super small. Cannot believe how much lying silence is going out there over Japan and Fukushima. Oh yeah, of course it is, man. They let people know, oh, by the way, there's radioactive waste washing up in Washington and Oregon and California. It'd be like, wait, what? What's happening? It's just, Skeeter, nuclear also costs a lot to start up and build. In 20 years, solar and wind will be so much more efficient than investing in nuclear. Oh, of course. What's the maintenance? The maintenance cost is very minimal for wind and solar. You have to lay a lot of money out front at first. And Celeste Holmes, decades, no, hundreds of thousands of years. Yes, you're right. It's a long, long time. I didn't mean to minimize that. But going back to clean energy, why, like, I remember when I owned a house and I was talking to another buddy of mine that was a homeowner, and I had done some research about solar, and I said, and I remember him going, oh man, it won't pay for itself till about 10 years or so. I go, yeah, don't you plan on living in your house for the rest of your life, another 30, 40 years or whatever? He goes, yeah. And I said, wouldn't it increase the value? Like if you're going to buy a house and you are choosing between two houses that are comparable, but one of them has solar panels, and so your electric bill is nothing? Versus, I remember in the summers and when I, had a house, the electric bill with the air conditioning was nuts. It was like $300 a month. Wouldn't that be something you'd want to say? Bat mashups. Carlin was right. Stick around, folks. China's going to win it all. Celeste Holmes, only the greedy, filthy rich and their minions win. Yeah, but this is why there's more of us than there are of them. And that's what we need to start making clear. They're starting to see it at the town hall meetings, that they're afraid. There's one guy's hiding on the roof or whatever. They're afraid to come to the town halls, right? People like Dianne Feinstein and Nancy Pelosi are getting challenged at town halls, and the Republicans are getting challenged at town halls. We need to show them the numbers. Then they're going to start to wake up, because they're going to realize, I better start giving back some, and I better change my tune, or they're going to overrun us. We're in the 99%. There's more of us than them. As they said, as Jimmy Dore said, he had one author on Aggressive Progressives talked about the Hamptons, not a defensible position. I got to get going soon, guys, because I have a meeting I got to go to at 5. I'll read a couple more. Dom J, I have friends that now run support for the offshore wind farms. The world's biggest is just outside London. That's cool. That's a thing. So as I say, vote with your dollar. Support that. Support companies that use alternative energy. If you can build those on your own property, or you own a school, or you work for a company or a school, petition that school or company to use clean energy for its buildings. It's big. Brian Stevens, I have PV and make too much electricity, so I started mining Bitcoin. That's awesome. Good for you, dude. Celeste Holmes, oh hell, Paul Ryan won't come home to his district. Yeah. We protest his Racine office each Monday at noon. They lock the office door while we protest. Good for you, Celeste. Good for you. And then make sure everyone shows up to vote. Make sure they do that. Hey, Graham. What's up, Jacob? Adam, you appreciate. Thank you guys. Thank you. I'm trying to shed light on stuff that the mainstream media isn't covering. That's what I'm trying to do with this show, and wake the left up. I want the left to wake up. We need the left to get their head out of their ass. The right-wing Trump people, they'll wake up. Not all of them, but some of them, when they're starting to see his bullshit. They're starting to wake up. Oh, wait, Obamacare and the Affordable Care Act are the same thing? Oh, no, I'm going to lose that. They're waking up. I protest with Veterans for Peace. We all vote. Outstanding. Good for you, man. Veterans for Peace. Good for you, Celeste. That's awesome. That's awesome that you're doing that. Good for you. Snork Y2K, I've been thinking about Bitcoin mining, but they are competitors. I don't know much about Bitcoin. Lucas, what's your opinion on progressives running as Republicans in solid red districts? I want progressives, man. If they're real progressives and they're going to fight for real progressive causes, I'm all for it. I'm all for it. The two parties are broken. I think maybe we need a third party or just independence. But if people can change from within, man, I'm all for it. Exactly. Skeeter, policy is not party. I want policy. I'm not beholden to a team. I don't want the Democrat. Like I hear friends of mine like, we got to get the Democrats back in 2018. We? What are you talking about? We? I'm not a Democrat. I don't support that bullshit. So if a real progressive, they're not just saying that to get donations and votes and shit like that, but they're a real progressive and they're running as a Republican, good for them. Show them. Show that the Republican Party's nuts. Show people within the Republican Party you're fucking crazy and there's racists and Nazis in that goddamn party. Get them out of there. We need real progressive policy. That's what we all need to stick with, no matter what, in whatever shape or form it comes in. Bernie's still an independent, remember. He was a Democrat for the primary, and now he's an independent. So his name is David Yankovic. I've tweeted for him to join us at our protest. Once he does, I'll have a better feel for who he is and what he is. Oh, that's the guy that's running against Paul Ryan. Brian Stevens, what do I think about Elon Musk leaving Trump? I think it's about goddamn time. I understand why he was like, all right, I want to try to work with this president. He's the president. He's in charge. If we can get him to see it our way, maybe we can make some change. Good for him. At least he can say he tried. And now when Trump pulled us out of Paris, he goes, I'm out. And then a bunch of these other Silicon Valley people have all publicly pulled away from Trump. That's what it takes. Because no one can say, oh, those left-wing Silicon Valley people, they just hated Trump. No, he tried. He tried. So I'm glad Elon Musk pulled out. Elon Musk is trying to do something. He's got those new solar panels that are about the size of a like an iPad or something. I support the travel ban. Let UK ban Trump traveling there. Haha. Yeah, we should ban Trump from leaving fucking Mar-a-Lago. All right, guys. Well, I got to run. This has been awesome. And I love that you guys, thank you, Danny Knapp and Snork Y2K for putting money into the super chat. Again, you can go to patreon.com/Graham Elwood to become and you get bonus content, bonus videos. And I'm starting the podcast. So that's on Patreon right now, and it'll be on iTunes. I'll put it in the politics section, not in the comedy section. So you guys are awesome. Thank you for sharing these videos to everybody. And you guys are fantastic. And I really I look forward to doing this now every Sunday. And the support you guys give and the comments and how intelligent you are is fantastic. So you guys are great. Stay vigilant. Make Gotham great again. Keep the blue light on. Vote Thursday, Dom J. Yeah, whatever. If you guys have votes, I don't have one here for me, but if you do, vote Thursday. There's some special elections. Blue light for freedom. Celeste Holmes, what you should do more to support me financially, but it's tough out here. Don't worry. Celeste, if you don't have the money's tight, there's other ways you can support the show. Share my videos. You're awesome for coming on here, and I appreciate what you have to say. If anyone's stressed about money, don't feel bad about not being able to support me financially. I understand that more than most. Believe me. My money's tight too. I totally get it. Don't feel bad. Thanks for watching. Just watching and clicking likes. Those are great free ways to support the show, and you're awesome, and keep fighting, and I will do the same. You guys are fantastic. Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn. Vote for Corbyn. Yeah, if you live in the UK, vote for Corbyn on Thursday. Thanks, guys.